Hey guys, Future Go Hunter Street Tuber, and I'm actually gonna copy Neo Game Spark here. I'm gonna do a three-part review over the Nolan trilogy, and I just finished watching Batman Begins. Um, really, honestly, I think this is one of the best ones. I think that, well, of course, yeah, this is one of the best ones, but I mean, like, I think this might be the best one. I think that because first of all, um, the Batman that's in this one, he's not retarded. Okay, I love the Dark Knight. Don't get me wrong, and I have yet to see Rises, um, but he sounds freaking retarded in the Dark Knight. I'm sorry, he sounds retarded. Why does he sound retarded? And he always does that stupid open lip thing, and he looks retarded. I swear to God. Uh, but in this one, it's not so bad. In the first one, Begins, it's not so bad. I can only assume Christopher Nolan was like, okay, Christian Bale, do it a little bit deeper, try and make it scarier or whatever. And this one, it wasn't so bad. It was still pretty bad. Well, not pretty bad. It was still kind of iffy, but it wasn't as bad as when you compare that to The Dark Knight. He sounds retarded, and from what I've heard, it's even worse in Rises. So like, oh my god. But you know, I really like what they did with Scarecrow. I think having Scarecrow for the first villain was an excellent decision. I think it was a great decision, because it's a part of the fear toxin, and Batman is like that's a common theme in this movie is fear. Batman feared bats. Batman's been fearing this all his life. He's been fearing that. He's been fearing about his parents. He's been fearing this. Been fearing that. Yada yada yada. And then when the fear toxin and it affects everyone in the city, and Batman's just flying over, they're all looking at him and they're terrified of him. So that means in future sequels, when and the entire city was infected, so in future sequels, they're all going to be terrified of Batman because of what they saw with the fear toxin. And so I think that's great. Now they actually have a reason to be afraid of Batman. Not to mention the fact that he's taking out all these crime lords and such and such and such. And all the rumors about how, whoa, does he really fly? Or I heard he could disappear like this. Um, and I really liked this. I thought it was really solid. I really think that it was really solid all the way around. Because at the very beginning, you really get to see a nice build-up, a nice background story of Bruce Wayne. There were some things I really didn't like instead of he was going to watch movie, go to the movies and watch Zorro, like it was in the comics. Instead, it's like they went to an opera, and there's like bats dancing out on stage, so like that kind of, I mean, that was stupid. I mean, I know what they were trying to do, try to put more of the bat stuff in there, but honestly, I think that was stupid. I really didn't like that scene. I thought it was really stupid. Um, but they did try to still incorporate the, oh man, if I wasn't afraid of those bats, then I wouldn't have asked my parents to leave, and then yada yada yada. But I mean, come on, just do it like they did in the comics. There was nothing wrong with that. There was nothing wrong with the way they did it in the comics. Um, and I kind of like the idea of just his parents being, when they get infected in they get in contact with the burglar or that thief or whatever, and he shoots his parents. They never said anything. They just died. I honestly think that had a stronger feel than Bruce's father being, "Don't be afraid," or whatever it was he said. I honestly think that he just should have said nothing. I think it would have been better. I think it would have had a much stronger feel if they just died. In my opinion, that's just what I think. Um, what else? I liked Crane's character because you really didn't know much about him, and like Falcone said, he said what you don't know, um, you're afraid of what you don't know. So I was really intrigued with this character and about how his fear toxin worked and everything like that. One thing I didn't like though was how he just came up with the name Scarecrow just randomly. It was just like Scarecrow. He didn't. you never really saw anything leading up to the name. Same with when Bruce Wayne decided to become Batman. He was afraid of bats, yes, but like they could have done it like they did with Spider-Man. You know, when he first started doing his thing, he was like, "Oh, I'm the man spider," or the human spider, or whatever he said. And it was only later they was like, "Oh, okay, I'll call myself Spider-Man." But no, he just immediately crashes down on the ground. They're like, "Who are you?" And it's like, "I'm Batman." You know, it's like, it's kind of weird. How did he even come up with that name? You know, it's all these questions just start coming. I really think they should have done something more with the character development there. Um, but I really think that the character portrayals in this film, in Batman Begins, I really think the character portrayals are the greatest out of the entire trilogy. I haven't seen Rises yet, though, but I've heard some things about it. Um, but as of right now, I really think that in Begins, it has the best character portrayal out of all three films because um, yeah, I'll move on to that, and I'll move on to my thoughts on the other movies whenever I get to them. Um, yeah, what was her name? Rachel Dawes. Honestly, I really didn't notice a difference between her in this movie and her in The Dark Knight. I know that they switched actresses, but I didn't notice. Honestly, I really didn't. They honestly look the same. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Dark Knight, but I just recently saw this one, and I still don't notice the difference because they have the same face. You know, I think Rachel Dawes in The Dark Knight is a little bit taller, maybe, but they have the same face. That's what I'm saying. And I liked Commissioner Gordon in this film because at the very beginning you got to see a kind of younger Commissioner Gordon, and then you got to see him transition up into this one. And I like the Bat Spotlight. How at first they kind of just used a mobster or whatever, and then he was like, "Oh, I ran out of mobsters to use, so I just kind of put a bat signal in the sky." It was kind of weird though that the bat signal that he put on there just so happened to be the exact bat signal that the exact bat shape or whatever that he used for his batarangs. I thought that was kind of weird. The batarangs themselves, I thought, were kind of weird. I thought some of his gadgets and stuff were really, really weird. Like his batarangs, for example, he carved them himself, which is cool, but in a certain specific shape. Like, you know, why did he choose that shape? Why not another shape or anything like that? You know, it just kind of that was kind of weird. And his batarangs are foldable. What? Did you guys see that? Like, I saw in one scene where he grabbed one, and was gonna put one in his pocket. He folded it. It's like, what? That's weird. Um, and Lucius Fox. Lucius Fox is not a character in which I'm very familiar with. I've read a few comics with him in it, and I have the Gotham Knights movie that I just recently watched on Blu-ray. I have that, and he was in that one. But honestly, I really don't like his character that much. I really don't like the whole Batman has his own weapons guy. I kind of like the idea of Batman builds everything himself in his cave. I kind of feel like that it gives off the loner and the greatest detective and the yada 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 off a lot more. Because he's really a loner, and it kind of makes him more cool because he made all this stuff himself, and he trained and all this stuff, you know. I liked Alfred a lot in this film. In the other ones, I didn't because I felt like he was kind of like, even in this one a little bit, he was kind of like more or less the speech giver and all this stuff. You know, and that's fine. But it's just really weird. Like, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, this isn't Batman, because Batman would always make all these decisions himself. Because in the comics and the animated series and yada yada yada, he was such a loner. He went into this stuff alone, he made his own decisions. Yet in this film, you've got Lucius Fox making his stuff for him. You've got Alfred, who's constantly giving him advice, and all this stuff. And even Rachel Dawes gives him advice, you know, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, which I've tried to bring this up to a couple people, and they're like, no, because this and this and this. And I'm not, because I actually kind of like it, but I'm just saying that I prefer the other way, because he's kind of more or less of a loner, and I kind of like that idea better. But that's just me. I overall liked Alfred. I thought he was pretty funny, and that's that's one of the things I really like about Alfred. When he's done well, is that he's more or less a comic relief character, and when the writers write him funny, he's funny. There were a couple of scenes in this film where he was pretty funny. But yeah, I think he did a good Alfred. I think in the reboot I would prefer seeing the classic mustache back, because I don't think we've ever gotten a live action movie where Alfred has had the mustache. In the original one, I don't think he did. In this one, he didn't. I would really like the mustache, kind of, because I think that kind of almost defines the character a little bit, because it's one of his signature traits. It's the mustache and the tuxedo. But yeah, other than that, guys, I really like this film. In my opinion, it's one of the best, but it's either between this one or The Dark Knight. Again, I haven't seen Rises yet, but I've heard it's pretty bad. So to me, right now, it's between this one and The Dark Knight that I think is the best one. And I think I'm going towards this one because I really do like the representation of Batman much better here. I think it was done far better, in my opinion. But yeah, catch you guys later with the next one. See ya.